Hey, good morning. Um, Today is Tuesday. It's April the 23rd. Tuesday, April 23rd, 2019. And we're reading Genesis chapter 18 today. And we're reading verses 1 through 15. And the scripture reads, The Lord appeared to Abraham near the great trees of Mamre, while he was sitting at the entrance to his tent in the heat of the day. Abraham looked up and saw three men standing nearby. When he saw them, he hurried from the entrance of his tent to meet them and bowed low to the ground. He said, If I have found favor in your eyes, my Lord, do not pass your servant by. Let a little water be brought, and then you may all wash your feet and rest under this tree. Let me get you something to eat, so you can be refreshed and then go on your way, now that you have come to your servant. Very well, they answered. Do as you say. So Abraham hurried into the tent to Sarah. Quick, he said, get three seahs of the finest flour and knead it and bake some bread. Then he ran to the herd and selected a choice tender calf and gave it to a servant, who hurried to prepare it. He then brought some curds and milk and the calf that had been prepared, and set these before the men. While they ate, he stood near them under a tree. Where's your wife Sarah? They asked him. There in the tent, he said. Then one of them said, I will surely return to you about this time next year, and Sarah, your wife, will have a son. Now Sarah was listening at the entrance of the tent, which was behind him. Abraham and Sarah were already very old. Sarah was past the age of childbearing. So Sarah laughed to herself as she thought, After I am worn out and my Lord is old, will I now have this pleasure? Then the Lord said to Abraham, Why did Sarah laugh and say, Will I really have a child, now that I am old? Is anything too hard for the Lord? I will return to you at the appointed time next year, and Sarah will have a son. Sarah was afraid, so she lied and said, I did not laugh. But he said, Yes, you did laugh. So that's the scripture reading. Covered up with my thumb. That's the scripture reading for the day. Now in the scripture, verses 2 through 5, Abraham, he was eager to show hospitality to those three visitors. And a person's reputation was largely connected to his hospitality, so that's probably why. The sharing of home and food, and even strangers, were to be treated as highly honored guests. And I just think of how life would be if we still thought that way. Like if we still, some people do, some of us still do. But what if everybody still thought that way and just treated their guests like as honored guests? That would be amazing. In verse 14 it said, Is anything too hard for the Lord? The obvious answer is, of course not. The question reveals much about God. So make it a habit to insert our specific needs into this question. Now that's something that we really have to be intentional about, because when things are going just all jacked up kind of ways, you don't really want to, it becomes a point to where you do. But when everything is all going all haywire and crazy, you have to be intentional in saying, just stopping, breathing, and saying, okay, is anything too hard for God? Or, okay, even though this don't seem right, and though he slay me, yet will I trust him. Or, okay, even though the devil meant it for my bad, God's going to turn it around for my good. Or, okay, the world didn't give it, and the world can't take it away. Okay, we have to be intentional in our walk with God, and we have to be intentional in just our everyday living. We have to be. And that's why sometimes, like when we say our prayers, I know I do, I pray for confirmation for different things because, I want to be sure that the things that I'm saying or doing, the actions that I'm taking, that it's not just of me. Because every single time I do something and it's just of me, it end up all messed up. It just be crazy. It always end up horrible. So sometimes praying for confirmation or waiting for confirmation is like tiresome, or even sometimes it's it'll end up being embarrassing. You think you just knew something. I know, like personally, so I was, and I'm not even gonna say that it's not gonna work out, but I know personally something that I just really thought it was, really thought it was for me. I really thought it was for me to do. I even spent money. I took time. I did all this thing, invested a lot of time, in my resources, and I thought it was. I just thought I knew, but no, I'm not gonna say no, not embarrassed, but it's like, man, it's a disappointment because you just think that this is it, this is it, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. But God has different plans for us, and He did tell us in His Word, and I believe His Word to be true. He does want what we want for ourselves, what we want for our lives. He wants us to have our desires, but He doesn't always give it to us like in a way that we think. So that's why it's important. That's one reason it's important, to wait for confirmation with things that we got going on in our lives. And ask for it. We can ask for it. There's nothing wrong with it. But that's it for today. That's it for today. So I'll be hosting, this on a whole nother note, I'll be hosting a women's empowerment movement. It's going to be some good stuff. And it's May the 26th. It's in Texas City. And it's a Sunday. It's from 3 to 6. So, reach out if you're interested in being a guest. And that's it for today. Y'all be blessed. Hey, don't forget to love on one another, check on one another, pray for one another. Pray for one another. And when you pray for me, child, say my name. All right?